Continue, progress.
All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good evening, everyone. Good evening, Adlan. All right. Now, for today, I am Adlan and I am your SAA for tonight. As usual, actually. With that, we are going to just jump right in. We are going to have a brief history on Toastmaster before we begin the meeting. So let's go to the first slide, please. Oh, we just jumped right into the online meeting guidelines. Okay, I love surprises. That is the first of many tonight. But yes, to ensure that we have a very smooth meeting for tonight, there are some guidelines. There are some guidelines that you need to adhere to. So please first rename yourself according to the role, the name, and then your name, and then your Toastmaster title. And if you are from a different club, state your club name and Toastmaster title. And then finally, if you are a guest, you type in guest and then followed by your name. If you have problems with changing your name, please do not hesitate to contact directly to the Zoom master in the chat, and the Zoom master will help you accordingly. Following that, we also have some house rules. First, I really urge on the first one, please be polite and respectful towards each other. Okay, especially for tonight. Next is no taboo topics such as sex, politics, and religion. And then please keep your mics on mute. Please only unmute when you're called upon or when it is your turn to speak. And since we are keeping our mics on mute, we won't be able to hear everyone clapping. So instead, let's give jazz hands to show our support. So jazz hands, everyone. All right, I'm taking note on who is not giving the jazz hands for later. Yes, next slide, please. We are going to begin with a history of Toastmaster. Toastmaster is founded by Dr. Ralph C. Smedley in 1924. The handsome gentleman on the slide is Dr. Ralph C. Smedley. He believed that we should work on two aspects, which is on our leadership skills and our communication skills. And that is still hold true today. Next slide, please. There are a total of 4 Toastmaster clubs in Brunei Darussalam. The first is being UBD Toastmaster Club, held every Monday, 7:30 p.m. Next is our club, Brunei Speakers Club, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. And then on every Wednesday, Otter Toastmaster Club, every 7:30 p.m. on Wednesdays. And last but not least, we have Brunei Advanced Speakers Club every first Friday of every month. Now, if you observe on the slide, there are some QR codes there. Those QR codes will take you to the club's individual Instagram pages. Next slide, please. Now, if you haven't been doing so, we are going to get into the Toastmaster spirit by reciting the Toastmaster mission together. I'll be leading it. Remember, keep your mics on mute, but you are welcome to follow along. In 3, 2, 1, to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Thank you, everyone. Yes, and we do have our own club's mission, which is to communicate with conviction and confidence. I'm just showing you that a little bump on the road is not going to deter me from speaking with conviction and confidence. Next slide, please. Now, if you do join Toastmaster, you will be subjected to our own educational pathways. And on the slide are all those different pathways that will be catering to your individual needs. Now, if you do need to know more about this, please do not hesitate to contact our President, Shannon Nizam, or our Vice President of Education, Megat Arif. And with that, let's see in our participants list, do we have any guests for tonight? We do not. That is surprising. Well, keep it in the house. That's fine as well. Without further ado, I will just pass the floor to our Toastmaster of the evening, Megat Arif. Megat Arif, everyone.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and guest Toastmasters from around Brunei. How are you guys doing tonight? You can unmute. This is the night that you can unmute to talk to each other even more. How is everyone doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing
We're good,
fine.
thank you.
Good.
Tonight is gonna be a good night.
Good to know.
So
It's gonna be a
excited.
good night. I believe so. We have a
Yes.
really fantastic night tonight, not because of just the speeches, but also because of the role plays that we have. We have a fantastic role players for tonight. And with that, let me introduce my role players to ease the meeting tonight. Now, first and foremost, let me introduce Toastmaster Charles Buck to the stage to introduce himself about what is going on during the Table Topics Master. What is going on during the Table Topics session? And to introduce the Table Topics Master, again, can we invite Toastmaster Charles Buck?
Thank you, Megat. Very good question. What is going on? Well, in terms of my role for tonight, it's basically just to facilitate the table topics. So I'll be sort of an MC for the topics of this evening. It gives you an opportunity to practice your impromptu, or rather off-the-cuff speaking. So you have to speak for approximately 2 minutes on a topic that I will dispense. And yes, if anyone is very keen on taking up a table topic, I already have 1 or 2 willing to do and willing not to do. I'll take that as a even not willing to do gets counted as a willing to do. So please do send me a message, a direct message, and sign up for a table topic. And I'll see you later. Thanks, Megat.
All right, thank you so much, Charles, for that concise introduction of what's going on to table topics. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please hit up Charles Buck if you are interested to take up any of the table topics session tonight. It will be an interesting, because we have a really good theme for tonight. And for next, we have the table topics evaluator. This to introduce and invite to the stage to tell us what is actually the table topics evaluator. Dynamic leadership level 2, Adina Bide.
Thank you, Megat. Good evening, Brunei Speakers Club. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. And as a table topics evaluator, I will be listening attentively and providing the speakers with constructive feedback. I'm focusing tonight on the structure, so how you tell your story using opening, body, and conclusion. I read that the table topics tonight is going to be heartwarming, so I'm not sure whether that's still the case. So I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, looking forward to an exciting, interesting night. Back to you, Megat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adina, for that introduction. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please remember, if you want to do the table topic session tonight, Adina's going to focus on 3 things: the structure, the introduction, the content, and the conclusion. Thank you, Adina. And next, let us invite the test speaker, if I'm not mistaken, the test speaker, the Miss Emoji. Let us invite grammarian Toastmaster Hong Ying Ying to explain her role on grammarian.
Thank you, Megat. Good evening, everyone. And as the grammarian for tonight, my role is also an active listening role. So I'll be listening to all the speakers and taking note of their language usage, such as improper use of grammar, wrong English usage, and listening to any outstanding words or quotes that they will use tonight. And it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day, which is, the word of the day for tonight is embark, which means one, it has 2 meanings. So one is to go on board and go on board a ship or an aircraft or any sorts of transportation. and the other one means to begin. It's an action, so to begin something. So synonyms are talkative and garrulous. So examples of how you use the word embark would be he embarked for Malaysia at noon, or she embarked on a new career. So thank you everyone for embarking on this journey with us, and we hope you enjoy tonight. Back to you, Mika.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ho Yin Ying, to introduce her role as the grammarian. Not just she is the emoji expert, but tonight she will be the grammarian expert. Am I correct? All right. With that being said, let's embark in introducing on the next role player, our counter, and who said what. Let's invite one and only, one of our new members, Toastmaster Alia Inshira, to introduce her role as the R counter and who said what.
Hello, Toastmasters and no guests. My role as an counter is to note words and sounds that are used as crutch or filler words by anyone who speaks. And during the meeting, I will listen for overused words including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will listen for filler words including and as well. I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase such as I, or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. For my second role, as who said what, is to quiz you during my part of the report to test you whether you have listened to the speakers and quiz you on what has been spoken throughout the night. With that, back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Alia Inshira, for introducing your role as our counter and who said what. It will be one of the most anticipated evaluation that we're looking for tonight, because she will test our listening skills. And we are really waiting how she's going to handle the quiz session for tonight. And with that being said, let's move on to our next role player for tonight. We have Bhuvi Rupachandran. Let us invite Visionary Communicator Level 2, Bhuvi Rupachandran, to introduce her role as timer and tip.
Good evening, everyone. As a timer, I will time the table topic speaker, formal prepared speeches and evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using red, green, and yellow. For table topic speakers, the time limit is at 1 minute, I'll show green. Sorry. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, I'll show yellow. At 2 minutes, I'll show red. For icebreaker, as we have today, the time limit, the speech will be between 4 to 6 minutes. At 4 minutes, I'll show green card. At 5 minutes, I'll show yellow. And at 6 minutes, I'll show red. For prepared speech, 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I'll show green. At 6 minutes, I'll show yellow. And at 7 minutes, I'll show red. For evaluations, the time limit is within 3 minutes. For general evaluation, total is 8 minutes, which will be divided by 4 minutes each. And that's all from my side. Back to the Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you so much, Bhuvi, for that introduction. There's a side that I haven't seen on Bhuvi tonight. She is letting us hear the husky voice side of Bhuvi. Bhuvi, are you all right? Do you need water? But I like your voice tonight. It's just good. Adina, don't laugh.
Thank you.
All right, next, we have the general evaluator for this role players. Let us invite the one and only Madam Lai Ling Ling to introduce her role as the general evaluator. Presentation mastery proficient, team collaborator level 2, Lai Ling Ling.
Thank you very much, Magad. You know, there's nothing like knowing that you've aged when someone calls you madam when he's clearly older than you. In any case, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ling Ling. I'll be your general evaluator tonight. Everything gets evaluated in Toastmasters. Everything. And the person who's there to facilitate that will be the general evaluator during the third part of the meeting. I'll be hosting the evaluators as they come in and out to give their feedback and thoughts and opinions of what went on. And I'll also be dropping a few of my comments as well, in the hopes that as we listen to all of these thoughts and opinions of everyone here, that we can have this continuous feedback loop and we all learn from each other, from the roles, from the speeches, as well as from the way we perform these roles. With that said, I hope that everyone enjoy themselves tonight and have fun learning from whatever that goes on throughout the evening. That's all from me. Back to you, Magat.
Thank you so much, Miss Ling Ling. 1 point for me tonight for that introduction of the general evaluator. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, we have 2 incredible speeches for tonight. We have from our latest member, Toastmaster Sheng Yi, and second, one of the speech that we are really looking forward to, which is from Adlan Moshe. And before that, let me share the agenda for tonight. We will start our session with table topics. We will continue with our prepared speech, and we will have our final session, which is the evaluation session. And last but not least, we will end tonight with the president remarks. I would accept Kafka for my honorific though. We'll take note that Ling Ling. And now, before we head to our first session, which is the table topics, let me share my thought of the day. This is going to be a bit deep because I believe that tonight is one of the historic night for Brunei Speakers Club. The month of March this year will be the month whereby we will experience some of us are moving forward in our own life and not continue the path of Toastmasters. I was one of the experience I've experienced in my whole life before. I wanted to be one of the most successful oil and gas analysts here in Brunei. It was one of my dreams, and I did not get that. I was not able to pursue my dreams, and I went through a deep depression because I cannot get what I want. But because of that, just because of that, I found a new path in life, which is training. And I found Toastmasters when I started my training career. With that being shared with everyone, I just want to talk to all of the Brunei Speakers Club. I know that you are seeing this video, and I know that most of you guys are here. When you are already not a Toastmaster, doesn't mean that this is not the platform for you anymore. Maybe sooner or later, maybe next year, maybe a couple of next couple of years, we don't know. We don't know what the future holds for us. But do hear me this. I always believe that this platform that you see right now, if you hear my voice tonight, I hope to see you guys again. And I hope that this platform will be the platform that you guys will use and take advantage to improve your interpersonal skills, your professional skills, and we are here to make friends. I will not I will not cry tonight. No, I will not, because we have an interesting speech going on as well for tonight. And with that being said, before we continue our speech, let us start our session with the table topic session, which will be hosted by our Toastmaster Charles Buck. Toastmaster Charles Buck, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mega. Evening again, everyone. Okay, I've got some volunteers / victims / not so much volunteers. Thank you very much for sending me a message. Please, as we progress, if you feel like you want to take up a table topic, please just send me a message as well. To go on from what Megat was saying about the end of the road is not the end of the journey. In life, I think we all go through the same kind of stages, or what we call milestones or paths. So tonight's table topic is about these milestones or paths that we seem to all go through. So childhood, young adolescence, and adulthood. And I will be asking you just to share your experiences and maybe something that you've learned along the way, or a little bit of a reflection that you have discovered by living and going through this path of life. So I'm going to ask Bhuvi, because she volunteered number one. Bhuvi, are you ready?
Oh yes, I am ready.
Okay, so I'll be your timer.
Okay.
So in terms of the path that you choose, would you like to tell us about something from your childhood or your adulthood?
Childhood.
Okay, from your childhood, can you tell us about a time you first experienced failure or rejection? So tell us about the time you first experienced failure or rejection. Okay, Vivi, when you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. Failure, sorry for my voice. Failure of my childhood, I still remember. I had a number of failures because I was really a bad child. I was a very revolutionary kind of child in the family. My father, being a maths teacher, it was expected that I would be very good in maths. But the problem was that I have number phobia. Anything related to numbers scares me off. Even now, I'm the timer, but I am scared of being a timer. When I was child, I always was horrified, terrified of my maths teacher. And every time I used to get less marks, I used to be afraid of my dad giving me all the thrashings when I go back to home. But looking back, I somehow finished my school and I went on to pursue my education in college. And I think that scary thing always lingered with me in every stage of my life, because that one thing that I cannot achieve made me demoralize myself into taking decisions in my future that, oh, I couldn't do this. I couldn't make my father proud. What am I going to do when I go to college? Obviously, I'll be the same. Obviously, my father would be very angry with me. So that thing kept on, till now at this age also, I feel like I'm not good at maths. But when I am doing this timer's role, the first time when I did, my mentor said, timer's role is the easiest one. But for me, it was like fighting with a dragon. But I learned something by being a timer. I could make myself comfortable trying to find out a solution to make myself feel ease when I'm doing this timing thing. I have so many applications right in front of my eyes, trying to fight and trying to make myself stronger. This is what I'm learning. At this age, I have learned this, that the childhood fear still I have, but I am fighting for it. And I think we all have that little fear in our mind that is never going to go away. But stay strong. Somehow you will find a solution at the end of the day. Back to the Toastmaster.
Well, thank you, Vivi. Wow, a fear of maths. I think, I don't know how many if you can have anyone in the crowd, just maybe put up their hand who also has a fear of maths or didn't do so well. I know I was one of them. No, okay. It's playing to the stereotype. I was going to say the Westerner is terrible at maths. So everyone else is really good. Thank you, Bhuvi. I'm glad you overcame your fear of maths, and you're a great timer. I've seen you in action. In terms of the next individual, Alia, I know I don't know if you're saying no or you're saying yes, so I'm taking it as a yes. Alia, would you like a topic from your childhood or your adulthood?
Adulthood.
Okay, great. I can assume you know how to drive?
Not yet.
No? Have you been for lessons?
I'm having my exam this month.
Okay, but you have been for lessons, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So your topic is, tell us about your experience while learning to drive, considering it's happening this month, your exam.
All right. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So the question was to tell a story on my experience in driving, learning how to drive specifically. I haven't had a lot because I only do it once a week, but I have this one story where I was panicking. It was my second time on the road, like on the highway. So instead of grabbing the, what do you call it? The stick, the gear stick, I grabbed my teacher's thigh. So it wasn't a big deal. We didn't make a big deal during that time, but as we finished that session, we talked about it because it could be a big deal because since I would be examined by an officer. So my take from that is whether if you are in a state of panic, just try to look where your hand is going. Nevertheless, try to be aware of that. Thank you. Back to the table topics master.
Thank you, Alia. Wow, I'm just trying to imagine that moment when you reached over and you realize what's happened, and then you make eye contact and you don't know what to do. Wow. I think, yeah, we've all been in the first experience, but I'm not too sure many of us have tried. I think someone said the thigh break. So thank you for sharing, Alia. The next individual I would like to call up is Ted. Ted, would you like a topic from your childhood or would you prefer a topic from your adulthood?
Let's go with adulthood.
Adulthood. Okay. Wow. Can you tell us about the time you finally realized that maybe your parents are not, that your parents are, oh no, that's a, okay, let me try a different one. Sorry, wait, wrong one, wrong page. Okay, here we go. Yes. Tell us about the first job that you ever had, your first paycheck. Okay, Ted, your first paycheck.
Thank you, Charles. That is actually quite simple. I can remember it just like yesterday. My very first paycheck came from waitering job while I was studying in Australia. Back then, I was just trying to look for a job to supplement a bit of my living expenses. Back then, Australia, things were expensive, very, very expensive. And my parents, they couldn't give me a lot of money. So I made a point to go source for a job the moment I landed in Australia. And I went around, I scoured around, and I landed in this particular Chinese restaurant. I still remember that boss. His name is called Meng Go. That is Cantonese for Brother Ming. Let's call him Meng Go for now. I remember him very clearly. He asked me to be a waiter, come kitchen helper, come delivery driver, basically all in one. And all I get is $8, a measly $8 per hour. Mind you, $8 per hour in Australia is peanuts. You can't live much on $8 per hour. And on top of that, I need to have my own mobile phone. Now, granted, right now, everybody you walk on the street, you ask around, everybody has their own smartphone. My 10-year-old son is going to have his own smartphone at the end of the year. My 12-year-old daughter has her own smartphone for 2 years now. But back then, having a phone is something not very common. And I need to spend my own money before I make any money to get a phone. So things were quite tough for me. But nonetheless, I went in, I worked on the job, and lo and behold, one thing I learned from that particular job that I carry to today, I remembered very, very vividly until today. Try as much as possible not to eat anything from a restaurant. Why? I remember one time, Mingo actually was cooking. He dropped a piece of chicken on the floor. He picked it up, threw it back to the pot, and serve it as is. So that's one lesson for you. Never eat from a restaurant. Now that's my first paycheck from this particular restaurant from Mingo. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
Well, thank you, Ted. Yeah, definitely not going to be a bit more wary about the 30-second rule at restaurants. do you ever think you would waiter again and do another $8 job per hour? Okay, not on your life. I'm sure some of us have been there. You start small and work your way up. I've also done some waitering, and yeah, not on your life. I'd rather just be unemployed than slave labor, should we say. So next, very brave attempt from our icebreaker tonight. He's also going to do a table topic. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. Please forgive me if I'm not. Sheng Yi?
Yeah,
okay.
That's okay.
So your milestones or your journeys in life, what would you prefer? Would you like a topic from your childhood or your adulthood?
Try adulthood.
Okay. Okay. I hope this is applicable. Have you left home before? Yes. So can you tell us about the first time you left your parents' house and lived in another place?
Okay. Thank you, Charles. Good evening, everyone. So my first place that I left, after I left Brunei, is Singapore. So I went there to study to get my diploma. And all the while I had been staying in Brunei and had never lived in other countries before. Although I've traveled a bit, but never stayed for long. And I was 17 years old, and it was very exciting. So I finished my studies in Brunei, and I'm going there for my diploma. And I don't know much. I was very young. I don't know what the road in Singapore is like, and I don't know anyone. I know my cousins, my aunts, but no other people in Singapore. And it's a new journey for me. I am back to a new place. So at that time, I feel very exciting, and I'm very eager to learn more, to meet new people, and to learn new things. Because I'm going to do my diploma, right? Other than that, my whole experience in Singapore was very, very fun. I met new people in basketball courts who stays very near to me, and basically just a lot of fun after I leave Brunei. Back to you, Toastmaster. Table topic master, short stop. Thank you. You are on mute.
Sorry, I'm just saying it's very daunting to leave home at the age of 17. So well done there. I don't know how many people have left home when they're teens to go study abroad, but I only left the house when I was in my mid-20s. And that was only for a year or two, and then I ran back home to my mother. So very well done and very brave in attempting another country. Also Singapore, a large city. Do we have a timer? Maybe time for one more? I'm not too sure about the schedule for this evening. So I don't know if we have time for another one.
No, I guess because we have prepared speech.
Okay, sure. And then Megat, so yes, just a quick summary. I'll post it in the chat as well. Bhuvi told us about the first time she experienced failure regarding numbers and maths. Alia told us about her, I can't forget it now, thigh break experience in terms of learning to drive. Ted told us about being exploited terribly in a restaurant and the 30-second rule, so earning his first paycheck. And Kongi, you told us about leaving home and going off to Singapore. So please do vote for your favorite, I think the voting is now, yeah, table topic. Please send me a direct message. And thank you this evening. Very well. Thank you to all the people who shared their experiences and their journeys. Back to you, Megat.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Charles Buck, for that lovely tabletop session. We've learned a lot from Alia, we've learned a lot from Ted, and we've learned a lot as well from Sheng Yi. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the main event for tonight, which is the prepared speech. We have our first prepared speaker for tonight, our latest member of Brunei Speakers Club, Toastmaster Sheng Yi, will be delivering his first ever speech, The Icebreaker. And before we invite Sheng Yi to the stage, let us invite his evaluator, Effective Coaching Level 2, Lawrence Pao, to introduce or to give us a snippet. What will he be evaluating in Toastmaster Sheng Yi's Icebreaker speech?
Thank you, Megat. A very pleasant evening to fellow Toastmasters. As the saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Tonight, our newest member, Sheng Yi, will be taking his first step to develop greater confidence and sharpen his communication skills by attempting his first speech project. This icebreaker speech is a project for him to introduce himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. As Sheng Yi embarks on this project, I will make an effort to provide an effective evaluation of his speech and delivery style. I believe all of us are looking forward to his speech. All the best, Sheng Yi, and back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you so much, Lawrence Pao, for introducing your role as prepared speech evaluator. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmaster Sheng Yi will be introducing us. He will tell us a story about his life in Brunei, life about moving in different countries, and purpose to be back in Brunei. Some of us, we embark a journey going from our home country to another. But tonight, we will hear a story of how Sheng embarks his journey back home to Brunei. Ladies and gentlemen, let us invite Toastmaster Sheng Yi, the wanderer no more, Toastmaster Sheng Yi.
Thank you, Megat. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Kok Sheng Yi. You can call me Sheng. I will be giving my first icebreaker speech titled Wanderer No More. No one can save ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. In this icebreaker speech, I will talk about how I moved from places to places and how I settled down back in Brunei. I was born in Kuching and grew up in Brunei. I just got my O-level result and I am happy with it for my maths and science, but unfortunately, I got D in Malay. With the result, I couldn't get into high school in Brunei, and the alternative is for me to go to Singapore to get a diploma. What an exciting time. With very little knowledge and experience, a kampong boy is going to the big city. Don't forget, I'm still lack of experience and don't know what's outside. My stay in Singapore are very well arranged by my parents and cousins, and my embarkation begins. Upon reaching Singapore, I realized I'm in a different world now. It is so crowded, so many people, everyone is working so fast, everything feels so busy. I'm no more in my own country. I started my life as a wanderer. My whole journey in Singapore was smooth sailing. It was fun, get to study hard, party hard, and met many friends throughout my journey. So after 3 years, I finished my marine engineering diploma and reached another junction for my next journey. Suggested by my cousin to study in Australia, I applied to go into Australian Maritime College, which is part of the University of Tasmania. This time around, I learned to arrange my own accommodation, transport going to Tasmania, and off I go. At that time, I was 20 years old. The first impression when I embarked in Tasmania is that it is a very quiet place. I was picked up by one student and put into a backpacker for one night. I never had this kind of experience before, as the last time I reached Singapore, I had immediately have my own place to stay. I realize now I am all alone. The next day, I am briefed by the student council all I need to know about the uni, my accommodations, and the city. At this stage, I will need to do my own laundry and cook my own food. I also realized the importance of friends to help each other out. As usual, university life went through without any hiccups. During graduation, I didn't even know what to do next, but realized that I need to be back in Singapore to serve my work, as I did sign a contract with the government for 3 years. So, without the need to make any decision, I am transported back to Singapore. I was 23 years old. The situation for this time is different. The letter or email that I sent is no more for paying others, but for others to pay me. In such a competitive country, with hundreds of emails I sent, I received about 10 replies, and only 2 I got to arrange interview, and eventually I got one low-paying job as a junior project engineer. I was happy. I got the job, but then very quickly I start to realize how challenging the job is. Work and study is never the same. It wasn't the best job that I want, but I got paid. After 6 months, another company called me up, offered me an offshore support engineer role, and I jumped ship. In this company, I became specialized in various offshore equipment. After fulfilling the requirement to work in Singapore for 3 years and a bit of experience, I decided to leave the company and pursue to find opportunity in Brunei. I was at the age of 27. I thought to be part of the oil and gas industry, but quickly realized that it is also not easy to get a job in Brunei. My industry was too niche. There's no market in Brunei. After 6 months, I landed a job as an operator for an offshore company. It was a good opportunity to experience offshore life. While working for the company, I kept on applying for a better position within the company, and after 2.5 years, I was promoted to become a project engineer, which will be based in Singapore, and therefore, at the age of 31, I moved back to Singapore. At this age, with all the experience that I had, now I had a good office job managing 2 to 3 projects at a time, and had a good and professional team to work with. I am very happy with my work, although it can be challenging at times, especially starting new projects. It was a good and fun job until the oil crisis came and hit the company hard. I was asked to let go. It wasn't easy to take it, but as Megat said, end of the road is not end of the journey. I move on. What I didn't told you is where my wandering ends. My girlfriend, who I met in Brunei and moved together with me to Singapore, in my last trip in Singapore, when I was promoted that time, I proposed to her after 1 year. That's when I thought hard about my life and what I should do from then on. I cannot be a wanderer anymore. With the company decision to let me go, I've decided to move back to Brunei and build my own family here. To summarize, I've shared with you my life as a dependent individual in Brunei, then half dependent in Singapore, independent in Tasmania, independent financially in Singapore, moving into offshore in Brunei, got promoted in Singapore, and stopped wandering in Brunei. This is part of my story. Thank you. Back to you, Megat.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sheng Yi. There was really, somehow I can relate with the stories that you have mentioned. From Brunei, from oil and gas, coming back here, trying to find a better life, trying to find a better job, trying to embark on a journey that we have no idea where is it going, but all that we have to do is keep on trying, and keep trying. Good, thank you so much. You mean relate to proposing? All right, thank you again so much. I was disrupted by one of the chats tonight. I'm not the second speaker tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am not the second speaker for tonight. And with that being said, let us move on to our second prepared speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a treat for tonight. It is one of the speech or project that we seldom see, but it is very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, Adlan Morshid will be attempting his level 4, project 1, managing difficult audience. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I love to share a few facts about this when this happened. So Adlan decided to take up this project in the very last minute. And guess what? He wrote presentation mastery level 4 project 1, managing difficult people. Adlan, you are not going to manage difficult people, but you are trying to manage a difficult audience. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to make all the secret role players tonight gonna be hard on you. And before we invite Adlan to the stage, let us invite his prepared speech evaluator, persuasive influence level 4, strategic relationship level 1, Shahnur Nizam.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, tonight Adlan will be attempting this project, which is managing difficult audience. The purpose of this project is I will not be evaluating the speech. However, I will be evaluating how he handles the audience. So Adlan will be delivering a 5 to 7 minute speech with a twist. And the twist is there are some hidden role players amongst the audience who will be heckling him, who will be trying to make his speech delivery, make him to deliver the speech a bit more challenging. So this is where Adlan will be learning and practicing on how to handle and manage this difficult audience to prepare him for a real life scenario where he's going to be deliver speech and where the people might not be so easy to handle with, unlike the traditional Toastmaster audience where people are all behaving. So it will be taking him 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm wishing Adlan all the best for this project. And with that, back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you so much, Shahnur Nizam. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me read a synopsis on Adlan's speech tonight. The heroine is someone who catches your eyes on screen, inspired young women everywhere to follow in her footsteps. Wait, I do not see her. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk to her, Adlan Morshid. Adlan Morshid, let's talk about her. As I love to invite Adlan to the stage and deliver his speech tonight, I just want to say that the show begins. Adlan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, everyone. But give me a moment to upload my slides.
Is it starting already?
Hold on, Ted. Yes,
Why so long?
I did ask for a moment, but let's remind ourselves of the house rules of the meeting, which is to keep ourselves muted, right?
So
So
long,
that we don't
faster.
interrupt each other. Right?
Long,
Could you do that for me, Ted, please?
It is a bit long, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
waiting
faster.
and then it hasn't started yet.
I'm a precious man.
All right, I will start now if you allow me. Thank you. Now, the story of her.
This is my favorite movie. This is my favorite. Her. I've seen this movie.
We haven't gone to that stage yet. Again, one more time.
Okay, I spoiled it. Sorry for spoiling. Sorry.
Let's keep ourselves muted throughout the speech. Otherwise, you'll be disrupting the speech, not just for me, but for everyone else as well. Now, again, let's keep ourselves muted, and I'm sure the big boys and big girls here are able to follow instructions. Thank you. Right, let's attempt to begin again one more time. The story of
You
her.
could have used the word of the day. You could have said you want to embark in this story.
Thank you so much for that input. We are going to begin at the moment. Allow me to embark if we do not have any more disruptions. Thank you so much. The story of her. A heroine is a drug, an addiction. No, I'm not talking about the white fairy powder. I'm talking about the ladies that we put on a pedestal. The ladies that we highlight as the main character in tales, stories, and movies. They are often showcased as the height of achievable human perfection or a lovable ball of mess who is comfortable in her own skin. We cannot help but to love these ladies. Yet, I found myself on dates with individuals who may not fit the image of attraction that was portrayed. I then ask myself, what exactly about them that makes me fall? The movie Her is a sci-fi romance where it discusses a lot of themes
Yeah, I
and
told
philosophical
you.
questions.
I told you this is the movie I was talking about. Her.
Is it nice or not, Rana, the movie? Nice or
Yeah,
not?
this is the one. Yes.
Nice or not, the movie?
Oh, thank you, boys and girls. I do believe that some have been taking over the screen. Oh my word. Now, I do appreciate everyone's involvement in this particular speech. Now, we can have that general discussion after the speech, if you would allow me. Now, let me re-upload the slides, and may I ask everyone to just keep your hands off the buttons and to not take over the slides no more. Thank you so much. As I was saying, all right, the movie Her discusses a lot of themes and philosophical questions, including the question, what is love? What is love? Now, before I am able to truly discuss this with you, I need to give a brief summary of the movie. Spoilers ahead. Now, if those who do not want spoilers, keep your hands on your ears or simply mute for the rest of the speech. Theodore, the protagonist, is crushed by the failure of his marriage with Catherine. After wallowing in depression, after the divorce, he begins a relationship with Samantha, an artificial intelligence.
It's not
Throughout,
Samantha. It's Scarlett Johansson. It's not Samantha.
Samantha, well, yes, that is a very good observation. Hal is the father of all artificial intelligence, and I'm just using his image to represent Samantha because Samantha does not have an image. Now, again, let's come back to the speech and we'll continue. As I was saying, Samantha and artificial intelligence, and throughout the film, the relationship grows like any other. Theodore and towards the end, Samantha no longer feels like an artificial intelligence, but more like a long-distance relationship. Ultimately, Theodore's relationship with Samantha ends as he begins to realize the limitations of her artificiality. She becomes bored with humanity and leaves for a higher purpose in the deep web. And in the
Wow,
end,
Adlan, I just cannot believe how an artificial intelligence woman can actually make them feel like a woman. I mean, come on. I'm here. Why won't Theodore come and, date me? Like, why aren't you asking me out on a date?
well, thank you, Adina, for the offer, but let's keep the stage professional. And we are going to explore that theme later on. And if you allow me, I will address that issue at a later date. Now, on that note, if you do have any questions, let's put that into the chat and I will address that one at a time. It will be nice just for everyone as well so that they are able to revisit those questions. Now, let's let's
You never
re-embark.
reply to questions. You never reply on the chat. That's why we have to.
And that's what I'm saying. I will address those chats, those questions later on after the speech. Now, I'm sure everyone is going to be really tired from jumping into conclusions. Right? That is a very difficult exercise to do. But we are going to finish off the speech first so that we can have all the informations before we make any more interruptions.
You're on red. You're on red already.
Yes, I do hope that we could finish this without any more interruptions. All right. So I do appreciate if you could keep that to yourself for the moment, and I will open the floor later so that you can address everything that is right and wrong about this speech. Now, thank you so much. Let's move on again to the speech. Now, where was I in the debate? Yes, in the end, Theodore finds true and meaningful love in a budding relationship with Amy, a close friend. Now, taking a step back, we can observe 3 stages in Theodore's journey. Through flashbacks and dialogues, we get a picture of Theodore's failed marriage to Catherine. It seems like an ordinary marriage, at least from an ideologically secular point of view. They meet, they fall in love, everything is happy, they move in together, they get married, and everything is wonderful. However, conflict arrives, as it inevitably does in every marriage, and relationship does not withstand the strain. Theodore and Catherine divorce and part ways. Cue Samantha. This is where we spend the majority of the film. Theodore uploads and updates Samantha, just like Siri, Google, or Cortana, and the relationship blossoms. We are taken along for the ride as Theodore falls in love again. His relationship with Samantha feels similar to the beginning of his relationship with Catherine. However, unlike Catherine, Samantha is exactly what Theodore was looking for. No surprises there. Samantha is literally adjusted and updated according to Theodore's preferences from when he initially began speaking to her. Yes, Adina, I am re-emphasizing the points. And again, thank you for that. Preference from begin speaking to her. She exists only to be Theodore's soulmate. When his relationship with Samantha ends, it is not because they were a bad match, but because despite how much Theodore wanted to believe she was human, she was not. Theodore, he is in love with all 3 women.
I think Theodore is like you.
Well, thank you so much for that observation, but we will address that again towards the end of the speech. All right. Magad, I'm sure the wedding rings is a clear indication that Theodore was married to Catherine. Now let's move on again. We are going to cue Amy. Theodore's.
Why do you need to kill Amy? What has Amy done? Why kill her? So cruel, man.
Not kill, cue, as in it's Amy's turn now.
All
right.
Say it properly. I heard kill.
Well,
kill people. Wrong, man.
I'm sure. I did mention it properly.
He said kill, not kill. Grammarian, you put that
right. I'm sure the grammarian is more than capable of doing her job. So, everyone, I'm sure you're very excited with the possible mispronunciation, but let's move on to the story again once more so that we could readdress the topic later on. Shall I? Now, Theodore's relationship with her gradually built and anticipated is the amalgamation of his past relationships. Catherine was human, but she did not have the kind of personality that Theodore was looking for. Samantha had the kind of personality that Theodore was looking for, but she wasn't human. Amy, we are to assume, meets both criteria.
Speaking of personality,
movie?
Ling,
All
what kind
right.
of personality of person you look for in your boyfriend? I saw on your IG you were having the
Now,
eyelashes, things like that. What sort of personality are you looking for, Ling?
thank you so much for that, Ted.
What?
Ling, I have
Sorry.
to cut
Wait,
you off.
I need to listen to Ling. Ling, what
Well,
sort of
thank you
personality
so
are you looking for?
much. All right. I'm sure you could ask her all you want once she does take over the stage, and if she does take over the stage. But currently, we are talking about this particular project.
When you're talking of
Now,
personality, I want to listen Ling's personality type.
well, I'm sure you could ask her out on a personal date with permission from your wife. Let me remind you. And you could have that long talk with her later on.
Okay.
Without any interruptions from me or from you. Now let's do this again. Now, and Amy, we are to assume meets both criteria, and the movie ends with Theodore and Amy smiling on a rooftop and music in the background. And I find parallels with this with my own experience. The first is where we embark and learn about love. We are experiencing.
I told you it's all about you. Told you so.
Well, of course, everything that we see and meet, we need to have an internal reflection so that we can have a meaningful learning. Now, let's.
So do you need help? You need help?
No.
Okay.
I got this. Thank you so much for that. I find parallels with my own experience. The first is where we embark and learn about love. We are experiencing for the first time how others may differ or are similar to you on an intimate level. This is the benchmark for all our future relationships. Next is the period when we dive and indulge ourselves into exploring the relationship, trying to find a definition of love that resonates with, resonates with us. Finally, once we can define our love, we are
Thank
able
you
to
so much,
recognize.
ladies and gentlemen, for that speech. Sorry, Adlan. I thought you finished already. Sorry.
No. We are finishing towards the end, and I will inform everyone once I'm there, and I will also open the floor for questions and answers. All right. So finally, once we define our love, we'll be able to recognize and identify that love when it does appear. Coming back to the movie and my own definition of love, falling in love with something you shape isn't what I would remotely consider to be love. I consider love to be a radical self-denial for the sake of someone else. Theodore's relationship with Samantha isn't about self-denial. It's about self-indulgence. Love isn't successful based on how well two people get along when they're happy. It's successful based on how well they get along when they're not happy.
Are you
In
still
simple
in love,
terms,
Adnan?
I am definitely being tested with my love for BSC at the moment, but let's move on. Love, in simple terms, love is about taking two rather different things and creating something different again, unique and incredible. With that, that is the end of my speech. Now, let's see if we have any questions or...
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I just feel throughout your speech, you're talking about, this Theodore person who I don't remember, and the relationship with Catherine. It all feels very misogynistic right now because it feels like, I don't know, the purpose of women or something feminine is just to give emotional support to the man. Why don't you talk about, the men's support in the relationship? This is just because you're talking about love, but it just feels like what they're offering to you and what you're doing. So what do you have to say to that?
That's a very good question. And if you, well, I'm sure there was a lot of interruptions in between and the message might be missed. However, that is exactly the point that the movie is making. Now, if we believe that women are there to indulge the man, then Samantha, the AI, who is from beginning catered to that man's need, would be the perfect relationship for him. And yet it doesn't work out. So it means that in a relationship, that is not what a partner is about. And it's not just about the woman, it's about from the man's side as well. Now, yes. Do you have any other questions to ask?
Yes, I have a question. You're talking about
Yes,
love tonight. Why are you not married yet? This the purpose of you talking about love, but you yourself is not in love, or I don't know. Just a question.
that is a very, again, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking. Now, just because one is not feeling in love, or you assume that I'm not in love, all right? The point of this
So
is
are
to
you
have
in
an
love?
open discussion.
Are you
We
in love?
are, hold on, let me address Magat's question first, and then
I really
I'll
want to
come back.
know. I really want to know if you're in
Yes,
love.
I will circle back. I will circle back to you, Rano. All right, and we might even answer that questions while I'm answering Magat's question. So, where was I? Yes, about love. Love, if you look at the slides and the presentation, now I'm sure again, there's a lot of interruptions, but let's focus on the message there. Love is like a journey that we embark on. Now, everyone will have their own definition of love, all right? They will have their own experience of love. They would have their own feelings towards love. Now, I would not be able to say that my experience of love would be a general representation of love, and it might not even relate to you. However, it
I
is an
don't believe
open
you.
discussion.
I don't believe you.
What do you don't believe, Rano?
You haven't answered my question.
Well, I'm going to go to that. So let's hold your horses and not jump the gun. All right, which I do hope that I have at the moment. All right, let's reiterate what I was saying. Now, just because the love does not resonate to your definition of love does not mean that it is wrong. Now, yes, I do have my own experiences, and I would say that my journey is far from over. And yes, I do not know at what stage I am at the moment, but if you allow me to, I might share it in a different speech in the future. Adina is asking, what journey are you going? Yes, it's not about the destination, it's about the experience that of love that you are learning throughout that journey. I do not have a destination just yet, but I am figuring it out. Who knows? We might be meeting in that same destination in the future. All right, now, timer, do we have any more time?
No, we are almost beyond time.
We
We're
are
eating away the break
almost.
time also.
Oh, I see. All right. Now, with that, I would be more than happy to address the questions outside this particular project during the break time. With that said, I will pass over the floor back to our Toastmaster of the evening, Magat Arif. Magat Arif, everyone.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go to the break, let's have a round of applause to Adlan Murshid for handling a lot of difficult audience. Good job, Adlan. Thank you so much for the two speakers that we have for tonight, and thank you as well for the table topic speakers that we have earlier. And timer, can I know how much time do we have left for break?
Oh my God, we can take only 5 minutes break.
All right,
Because
thank you so
beyond
much.
the time.
All right, thank you so much,
Everybody needs a
ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will go for a 5 minutes break. I'll see you back in 5 minutes.
Sorry, Adlan, we all were troubling you. I felt so bad. At the end, I just stopped texting. I can't do that.
That's all right. That's all right, Bhuvi. If anything, I have nothing against you.
I could feel myself when my kids do the same thing when I'm telling them something and they'll just take me for a ride and I forget what was I actually saying. It's like,
I
This is the
know,
nature of a classroom
and just so you
management
know,
discussion.
Booby, I have the host control. I could just mute everyone, turn off the chat. I could even kick them out from the meeting. I have that option. Yeah, but that's
Nobody
not.
is saying anything. Everybody is silent only during the
I
speech.
know.
Everybody
Now they're
is
silent.
Because everyone feels the guilt. Everyone's like, I have talked enough. I'm so sorry, Adlan.
Don't think we
Looking at all
are.
of y'all.
So much energy.
Now, believe it or not, oh, is this still recording?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We had a good break. We had our first session. It was an interesting table topic session. We had a really interesting icebreaker and as well as our second speaker. Now we have moved on to our next session, which is the evaluation session. For this session, let me invite the general evaluator to host for the evaluation session. Ladies and gentlemen, can you help me invite Miss Ling Ling? Presentation Mastery Proficient, Team Collaborator Level 2, Lai Ling Ling.
All right, thank you very much for handing the floor over to me, our Toastmaster of the evening, Megat Arif. Now, after quite an ordeal that we had, we'll now move on to the learning. What did we learn from the rest of the meeting? Starting with our prepared speech evaluators. Starting with our table topic evaluator, may I please invite to the floor Dynamic Leadership Level 2, Adina Bidin, to tell us what she thought about the table topic session. Over to you, Adina.
Thank you, Ling Ling. I laugh so much, so excuse my voice tonight. But we have 4 speakers tonight, and I really had a good time excuse me, listening to your attempts as well as thinking hard about what kind of constructive feedback I'm able to provide you with so that you'll be able to improve your next attempt. So we started off with Bhuvi. Bhuvi started repeating the question and then providing a description of her childhood, a little bit of a description of her dad, and the relationship with her maths teacher, a nice relationship with her maths teacher, and eventually telling us that she has phobia towards numbers, arithmophobia, that I Googled. So she set the scene in how disappointing her father has impacted how she feels about the rest of her life in terms of her performance, and eventually completing it with sharing how she's proud of herself for braving herself to face her fear of numbers as a first-time timer and now still being a timer tonight. I think it is a powerful message and story, and I think it inspired everybody else with your conclusion when you mentioned that, you know, face your fear and not give up, and you will keep finding solutions. Well done for that attempt, Bhuvi. If I could recommend one thing to add on to your body, would be a little bit more details around how did you find solutions. You mentioned about a few apps that you have, but how did you convince yourself to actually keep working towards going against the fear of numbers? You're always first to volunteer in every meetings as a table topic, so it really shows that you are working on your fear and your confidence, and also showing improvements in your speech crafting. Alia, I had a great time listening to your speech. I think that's a brilliant content for the question, especially because it was just recent. You started off by, again, reciting the question and sharing a little bit of a background of when it happened, with who, and what actually happened. In terms of recommendations in your body, I feel that if you had added on a little bit of description on what was the reason to why you actually reached out to the gear stick, I think it add on that element of suspense as well. And we are able to really follow through with with the story. And also maybe just some internal thoughts or reflections of post event, so that we're there with you in that moment. I hope to hear more of this story in your next speech, or maybe in your next humor speech contest entry. Ted, I felt really troubled about evaluating you, so I'm just gonna focus on just one that I think is very meaningful and impactful. The structure is very clear. You started off with the time in Australia and why you had to work because your parents were not able to provide you with sufficient financial support, and then a little bit of an example of how your child today can afford a mobile phone, and eventually just mentioning of the first job that you had in Australia, before you wrap it up by saying, what you saw at the restaurant. In terms of recommendations, I would like to hear more about the hardship. Why you picked that restaurant. Was it because of, good pay and all that? And eventually, what did you do with the first paycheck that you get? Is it to get a mobile phone? And what kind of mobile phone? So very small recommendations, but I hope that will help you with improving your speech. Last but not least, I know I'm in the red. Sheng Yi, I think, is a very good attempt of sharing the story of when you were in Singapore for your diploma and how you were so excited and how you felt about going to Singapore. And also sharing to us a little bit of an overview of what you were spending time on there, like learning new things and making friends in basketball. Recommendations, you mentioned a couple of things about being excited and it being a fun time. But I hope that you will be ready in the future to share a little bit more of that personal experience, like what is fun. And I only found out about it in your icebreaker. So yeah, if you're welcome, if you feel welcome about opening up more in table topics, I think that will help us to be on that journey with you. Thank you so much for giving me time for this table topics. I will now pass on to Charles for the announcement of best table topics. Charles, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Adina. So can I have a sort of a virtual drum roll? The best table topic goes to Ted. Well done, Ted. Ted, if you'd like a minute just to your congratulatory speech.
Can't think of anything to say, but thank you everyone for voting for me. It was a fun time working in Australia, and it was definitely a fun time seeing that piece of chicken go back to the customer's package. So just a really recap lesson, try and eat out as little as possible. You never know where your chicken has been. Back to you. So, table topic one. Back to you, G.
Okay, I think it's back to Megat. Thank you. Be wary of chicken, Megat. Thank you very much. Oh, G. Sorry.
Thanks, Charles. It is I, Magat, and I will now facilitate the rest of the general evaluation session. Moving on from the table topics evaluator, we have the prepared speech evaluators now. I'd really like to know what they think about both our prepared speakers. Let's start with our effective coaching level 2, Lawrence Powell, with his evaluation for Sheng Yi's icebreaker. Over to you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Ling Ling. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. And congratulations, Sheng Yi, on completing your first speech project, through which we did learn more about your studies, your work, as well as your life. To begin with, I'd like to give you some feedback regarding the structure of your speech. I noticed that you shared with us a lot of short stories, and all the short stories were arranged in chronological order. By providing a clear timeline, it really helped us follow your speech with ease. So pretty good job. Okay. Secondly, in terms of the content, I also noticed that you gave us numerous descriptions of the uni you went to and the places where you used to work. Here, I would like to suggest giving more information about your feelings and how you adapted to the different environments. For instance, you mentioned that you moved to Tasmania when you were 20 years old, and Tasmania is a very quiet place. Here, I would like to know whether you felt lonely there. Perhaps you can also tell us how you cope with the loneliness. Another example will be the job seeking journey in Singapore. In the highly competitive work environment, you may consider talking more about your determination as well as perseverance in landing a job when you talk about you only got 2 interview opportunities. By giving such information, it will actually cast light on your personalities and character, and we as audience will get to know you better as well. Moving on, in terms of delivery, I observed that you were reading from your script from time to time. Perhaps you can try to remember some of the stories by heart and try to make regular eye contact with the audience so as to help us to live in your story. Last but not least, I must say that you have definitely met the speech objective. You have introduced yourself to all of us. You have also sequenced your stories in an organized manner. I hope you will want to know more and embark on your next speech project in the near future. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Timer, please stop timing me. Now, Zoom host, can I please present the icebreaker ribbon to Sheng Yi? Well done, Sheng Yi. All right. I would like to pass the floor back to our general evaluator, Ling Ling.
All right, thank you very much, Lawrence. That was an excellent touch there. Was that Megat? That was Megat, right? Okay, Megat. Okay, that's one way to do a virtual background. Thank you to Lawrence and Megat for that gesture, and congratulations once again to Sheng Yi for embarking on your Toastmaster journey. I hope that will be the first of many other speeches to come. Moving on from Sheng Yi's speech and Lawrence's evaluation, we have the man of the hour, the presentation master himself, Adlan Murshid's speech. Can I please invite his evaluator, Persuasive Influence Level 4, Strategic Relations Level 1, Shahnur Nizam, to share his thoughts.
Thank you very much, Madam G, Miss G. Okay, so I would like to evaluate Adlan. Right from the beginning, even way before the meeting started, Adlan is already showing us his preparedness to I would say to face this challenge that will be given by the audience. He told us that a small bump wouldn't deter me from speaking from conviction. So it shows us the preparation already. And throughout the speech, Adlan employed a lot of techniques and strategies to remind the audience to refocus back to his speech. He said that let's focus on the house rules and by keeping yourself muted. And then he also said, I do appreciate everyone's involvement, but let us focus back to the speech. So it's a great strategy to remind everyone to maybe stop pestering him and refocus back on the speech. And also, since Adlan is the Sergeant at Arms, it is his authority to remind everyone about the house rules. So he's taking the leverage of his EXCO role by enforcing the house rule to the audience by keeping themselves muted. Usually, people are aware who are the authorities and try to respect the authorities and follow the house rule. So I believe it is a good strategy to remind the audience about the house rule. And then in the speech, he also skillfully able to answer some of the inquiries presented by the audience. For example, when Rano said, it's all about you, it's all about you. And then Adlan masterfully answered this question by agreeing with what Rano said. I believe it's a good strategy to agree to the people speaking, usually this will throw them off, and oh, the speaker agrees to me, so maybe they can give them some empathy to continuing listen to Adlan's speech. And then another skill that I really like about Magat is his ability to remember some of the questions that were thrown to him, and then simultaneously given another question by another audience. So for example, I believe it was, let me get my, okay, so he had a difficult question from Hilman about the misogynistic, and then halfway when he tried to answer the question, he was interrupted by Rano. After he answered Rano and assured him that he will get back to Rano, he able to circle back to Hilman's question and answered Hilman's question. So he has the ability to juggle between question and circle back to previous question, and then finally attend to the next question. One thing that I really want to suggest Adlan for his room for improvement is that when he answered Hilman's question, I believe it would be better for him to ask Hilman's back, have I answered your question? So for you to know that you actually answered the person's question, not keeping them hanging. It's just to show the audience that you are here to answer everyone's inquiries. And then another nitpick, right before the meeting started, you said some words that personally doesn't sound right. You said the words like these hooligans that are going to interrupt you, and then you were saying that some of the I've handled some brats before in my since I was a teacher. So if I was the volunteer, personally I don't feel very nice because I'm volunteering to, in a way, helping you to handle difficult situation, but then you address me, the volunteer, this kind of term. So I do suggest you not to use this term to address them. And then lastly, what I really like that you also give opportunity to ask you in another platform. So you're not stopping them from answering more questions. You allow them to answer more question, but not this platform, but in another platform. So I guess it's a good strategy to tell everyone your door is still open for more questionings. And that's about it. I believe you are a master and skillful to handle a difficult audience, which is shown throughout this project. And good job for that. Round of applause to Adlan Murshid in the back. And now I hand over back to you, GE.
All right, thank you very much, Shatnur. Now that was the last of the speech evaluators of the evening. Timer, I've got 4 minutes to go through everyone. Hopefully I can do this justice. Let's start with Adina, the table topic evaluator. Adina, I thought she had great listening skills. I can tell that Adina took this boatload of notes when everyone was speaking. She told us about what the speaker said, but also how did they say it. I feel like all together this made a package that we can relive the speech again through Adina's eyes. I think if I did a table topic today, I would be very appreciative that my evaluator listened as carefully as Adina did today. Now, there were lots of recommendations that Adina gave in relation to the content of the table topic. I think giving recommendations based on content is a bit of a hit and miss for me, because sometimes you want to allow the speakers to free reign and autonomy to speak whatever they want to. In this case, I would suggest that if you choose to use such a technique, perhaps to explain why you think they should say a certain thing, so that when you frame it that way, the speaker will be more aware of how putting it in that certain way would help them in relation to their speech, as opposed to, I would like to hear you say this because I think because of your own personal opinion. So that's my recommendation to Adina. Next up is Charles as the table topic master. Charles, I thought, facilitated the session very well. I enjoyed that little poignant prelude Charles did at the beginning of the table topic, as well as the very thoughtful topics that he came up with. Altogether, I thought it set up this kind of introspective tone for the entire session, and that sort of made everyone give it a bit of a think and then share really intimate details of their childhood or their hopes and futures or whatever they went through. I think just a minor tip for Charles next time. I think I would have just, it's very minor, I think I would have liked a bit more separation between the transitions and the topics, because at some certain times I thought they blended a little into each other. So it took me a while to realize that, oh, now it's time for the topic. So I wouldn't say be more dramatic, but just a slight emphasis when the topic is happening, so that I personally would be able to tell that this is the question now. Next up is the prepared speech evaluator, Lawrence. Lawrence, I thought, gave a fantastically detailed evaluation. Now, if I thought Adina was thorough, Lawrence certainly gave a masterclass on that. It was pretty incredible to hear the way Lawrence mentioned Sheng Yi's speech quote for quote and then gave suggestions based on a particular quote. I don't think I've heard anyone do that within the 3-minute evaluation before, so that was pretty amazing to watch. A suggestion, I think, for Lawrence is just, and for any other person who's giving an evaluation on an icebreaker, is just to remember that it is an icebreaker. It is the first speech that a member would make. So I think it would stand to reason to just be a bit more encouraging and just give an overview, not just on the speech and how the speaker could do well on that speech, but also evaluate the speaker as a speaker, what kind of strengths they have and what kind of things they should focus on or could focus on in the future, as well as what you could foresee as potential pitfalls in the future. So these will take a little bit more introspection, I think. And next and lastly is Shahnur for Adlan. I think it was very interesting reliving Adlan's speech through Shahnur's eyes as well. Shahnur captured techniques that Adlan used in his particular project, as well as he gave very astute observations, I think, based on what Adlan could have done better. I think he picked up on things like Adlan could have been a little bit more tactful, albeit maybe Shahnur didn't deliver it in the most tactful way either, so it's a bit tit for tat, but that's all right. From Shahnur, I think I would appreciate at the end just a little bit more overview of how Adlan did as a speaker, not just specifically certain bits of the speech. For example, do you think that overall did Adlan handle the audience well? Did he seem in control of the entire session? I think that was largely left unanswered for me, and I think instead of just focusing on little instances, just having that question answered, I think would be more of my preference. That's it for my evaluations of all these 4 role players. All in all, very different techniques and skills from everyone present, but I'm very pleased with the quality and of the evaluations here today. Right. Let's see if we can keep the momentum going with our grammarian. So Ying Ying, I hope you're ready. From one Ling Ling to another Ying Ying, can I please invite our grammarian Toastmaster Ho Ying Ying to the floor? Are you there?
Hello, sorry, experiencing a bit of a connectivity issue, but thank you, Ling Ling. So first off, I would like to give, so thank you, Ling Ling, and I'll be presenting my grammarian report for tonight. So first off, we have the word of the day count, and the word of the day, embark, was used a total of 16 times. Cedra, Charles, Rano, and Ling Ling, you said it once. Sheng, you said it 3 times. Adlan and Lawrence, you both said it twice. And Mega, you used it a total of 5 times. Good job. And then next, I'll be highlighting what I personally think are some improper uses of grammar and words that sound just a little bit off. First off, someone said, I did not get my dreams. A suggestion to improve this sentence would probably be to say, I did not achieve my dreams. And then this person also said, when you are already not a Toastmaster, which sounds a little bit off to me, and a suggestion for improvement would probably to say when you are no longer a Toastmaster. And then moving on, another person said, first place I left was Singapore. So a more coherent way to say this would probably be the first place I left to was Singapore. That's probably just me nitpicking, but you're probably nervous. Then the same person also said, I'm still lack of experience. Same thing again, I think you're just nervous, so it would probably be better if you say, I'm still lacking in experience. Then moving on, so that's all for some of the improper uses of English that I've managed to catch. And now moving on to, I would like to commend the following outstanding usage of words, quotes, terms, and sayings. First off, we have Booby. So Booby said, Booby put in the word number phobia, which Adina later clarified as arithmophobia, which is a real thing. And it's when someone experiences anxiety when they're dealing with manual calculations or numbers. And it can get really bad. I've seen this like from one of my classmates back then. But moving on, Booby also said, she compared the task of timekeeping to fighting with a dragon, which in her perspective may mean that this task is extremely difficult or near impossible for her, but she did it so well tonight. So everybody give her a round of applause. Then moving on, Ted mentioned that he remembered his experience in working with this restaurant like it was yesterday, which means that this was probably a core memory for him, and this table topic probably unlocked it. And it means that he remembers this memory very vividly. And he also said that $8 in Australia is like peanuts. So comparing that amount to peanuts means that it's a very small amount and probably not worth very much. Next, Lawrence said sharpen his communication skill, which means to improve his communication skills. And then Sheng mentioned study hard, party hard, which means basically taking care of yourself while performing well academically, and then rewarding yourself for your hard work by partaking in fun activities, which is a very good self-care method, if I may say so myself. And he also mentioned, he also mentioned he went through the event without any hiccup, which means that the event went well without any difficulties or any problems or setback. He also brought in the term jump ship, which means to withdraw from something or leave something without notice. Next, moving on to Adlan. Adlan said, big boys, big girls, when telling us to be patient and follow the rules, which probably means that we should be mature enough to know well and be patient. And then next, he also said, the relationship did not withstand the strain, which means the relationship did not survive the hardship that the couples went through. He also brought up hold your horses, which means wait a moment or to slow down. He also said jump the gun, which means act too harshly or start something too soon. And he also said resonate, which usually is a physics word, which is usually like a term that we use in physics, but when you said, to resonate with something means that you relate to something. Then next we have Sharhmon, which he's brought up the word circle back to him, which means to get back to the person after you've completed a certain task. And he also said, keep me hanging, which means to keep someone waiting for answers. And lastly, we have Ling Ling. Ling Ling said boatload, which means a large amount. And then she also said a very large amount. And then she also said, it was interesting to live Adlan's talk through the eyes of Shahnor, which means to see Shahnor's perspective on Adlan's talk. So that's all for me from tonight. Back to you, General Evaluator Ling Ling.
All right, thank you very much, Yinging. And I also say boatload because I just had boat noodle for dinner. So let's move on from that. Next up is our counter and who said what. We have this evening the lovely Toastmaster Alia Inshira here to tell us how we did. All right, over to you, Alia.
Hello, everyone. I'll be sharing my screen. Hold on. Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay. Again. Am I back?
We can still see your screen.
Okay, am I back?
Yes, you are.
All right. Um, these are just a record of who has said the crutch words and the filler words. The green is where I would like to highlight to indicate that these are the one that has mentioned a very minimum of crutch words and filler words. For Adlan, I divided your parts into two. You don't usually stumble upon crutch words during your SAA, but you did for tonight. And for the highlight of tonight, for you, during your speech, you mentioned 23 ums and us, and you repeated a lot, quite a number of sentences. But despite that, I still would like to compliment, as I was impressed by how you managed to, tackle the hard audience. For Charles, you only mentioned 8, Adina 28, Ho Ying, during your evaluation, you rised up to quite a lot, from 2 to 19. And for Ling Ling, you have 16. For the table topic session, I did not record mine, but for Sheng Yi, you only had 15, but you have a tendency to drag your mind as you think to articulate your words. And for Bubi as well, you have a habit to mention like as you describe to things. Now let's move on to the who said what. Please unmute yourself, if you will. All right. For the first question, whose father was a maths teacher?
Movie.
Right, movie. Second question, what are the 2 subjects that Sheng was happy about for his O-levels?
Engineering.
Maths.
Math and science.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why did Sheng went to Singapore?
Study.
To
Continue
get
study.
his diploma.
Yeah, correct. Where did no. How does this one is hard one? How does Adlan define love?
We're not listening to us.
If Adlan wants to answer that, you may.
Love is
Is this the one that you haven't answered yet?
well, love is, hold on, let me remember again. You caught me off guard. Yeah, sorry, it's lost. My notes is somewhere. It's lost.
Moving on,
So sorry.
moving on.
Yep, let's move on.
From what I could catch that you mentioned radical and self-denial, and you described further on is love is how well they get along when they're not happy.
Exactly that, yes.
The last question. At what age did Shang move to Tasmania?
16.
Is it correct, Shang?
Tasmania? No.
27.
20.
Yeah.
20, exactly.
Thank you. That's all from me. Back to Ling Ling.
Thank you, Alia. Now, if you don't mind, there we go. Thank you very much, Alia. Right, now that we've got the grammarian, the R counter, I believe the next role player would be the timer. So we've been seeing her all day long, and it's time to finally see. There she is. That's what she looks like. We might have forgotten for a little bit, but she's always been there. Can we please call to the floor Visionary Communicator Level 2, Bhuvi Rupachandran?
I want to share the screen. How should I do that? Share screen. Yeah. Oh my God, where is that? Can you see the screen? Yay. Okay. So today the meeting started 5 minutes late, 7:35, and both SAA and TME finished within the time, which was 20 minutes, but they finished within the time. Then the prepared speeches. Oh, okay. Table topics started at the first table topic B, 7 minutes. I took 2 minutes, 25 seconds. So almost, yes. Alia took 1 minute, 26 seconds. Ted took 1 minute, 51 seconds. Shen took 1 minute, 51 seconds. The last one is just, don't consider that. Then the prepared speech, icebreaker, Shen took 6 minutes, 30 seconds, 13 seconds. Adlan took 19 minutes, 58 seconds. Then the evaluation, Lawrence Paul took 2 minutes, 33 seconds. Shahanur took 4 minutes, 54 seconds. Then Adina took for table topic evaluation, she took 5 minutes, 31 seconds. Announcement was 37 seconds. Ling Ling for the first evaluation took 5 minutes, 4 seconds. Grammarian Ho Yingning, she took 5 minutes, 26 seconds. Alia for AHA counter, she took 4 minutes, 34 seconds. And I am taking 1 minute, 50 seconds. Back to the evaluator.
I see. Thank you very much, Bhuvi. Do you mind keeping
Oh,
that
oh
back
my God.
again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll share
I
it
think
again.
that while you keep that there, I'll go ahead and
Yeah, yeah. This one?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's great. Thank you very much for doing this report, Bhuvi. One of the things I really enjoy about the timer report is that as we go through these roles online, we find out new and different ways to use technology to suit us. Like for example, Bhuvi, I feel is the queen of virtual backgrounds with the way she's using the timer, and he's even got a literal timer in the timer, which I appreciate. And then she comes up with this little table over here. Although I do have to note that I'm not sure some of it is accurate, because there was a point where I was really happy that it says I was within time 1 minute 52 seconds, and it turns out that I was actually 5 minutes, and I was really sad about that. But in any case, thank you so much for doing what's it called, a slide like this, a report like this, and I think we all really appreciate your preemptiveness. So thank you very much, Bhuvi. Let's move on to our other role players. Next is Ho Ying, our grammarian. Ying, I thought she was very buoyant, very effervescent with the way she put her own spin on the grammarian role. I think it gave the report a little bit of fresh air, and it really infused her personality into the report as well, something you don't see when it comes to doing reports like that. A tip for Ying, something to help tidy up that report, is maybe just to group things together, similes, phrases, uncommon words, instead of doing it chronologically. I always find that using this kind of structure makes things a bit easier to digest, especially for the audience, so that it doesn't keep switching between, oh, how do I use this, and etc. etc. Next up is our counter, Alia. Alia, I think I've also utilized a bit of technology, with the Google Sheet and all of the rows and columns. What I really appreciated about Alia's report is that there was that comment column, and then it wasn't just like, oh, how many ahs you said, how many you said. It was also how you said it, where you said it, what special words you said, and any other things that she picked up. I think I really, really appreciated that. Maybe a tip for Alia is, I don't know whether it's from my side, but I only saw the first half of the report, so I couldn't see the bottom half of the report. So I think maybe a very weird tip for Alia here is just remember to scroll, because when you're sharing screen, you're not just sharing it for yourself. Sometimes we have to be aware that people are looking at the screen too. You have to sort of know that you have to control what they're looking at too. So something for Alia and every other presenter who's using a slide. Next up is our TME Magat. Magat, great job at keeping the energy up. I liked how it didn't feel too forced either. When you came on, I liked how everyone just adapted into your energy, and people just matched the way you were doing things, and it made for a very, very lively opening and beginning. I feel like every single role player was fired up and ready to go, and that was something that you did, Magat. So I really like that. I especially love the part where you got everyone to unmute and answer you. That's something we don't do very often. I think that might have contributed to us being really, really hyped up for the entire meeting. Though I have to admit though, around the middle of the introduction, things got a little bit awkward, I think, in due part to some of the jokes that were rehashed, I think, for a little bit too long. One of the things I think I learned as a host is to just sort of read a room and don't double down when you know a joke isn't going the way you want it to. Like if a joke doesn't land, leave it, move on, because the more you dwell on it, the more people are simmering in that awkwardness. But yeah, but don't worry about it. You pretty much kept the momentum going, and I really like the way you hosted tonight. Good job, Magad. Lastly, I would say it's Adlan as the SAA. Adlan, I don't think I need to point out the obvious. I think everyone in the room picked up in the chat how nervous you are. I know you were doing a speech, but boy, it showed in your SAA. I think everyone joked about it, but unfortunately, it had the side effect of making Adlan even more nervous. And I think we all sort of picked up that of all the SAAs Adlan had done, I think that was the most jittery we've seen him, but he did pull together near the end, and I think all the things that were supposed to be there were there. So for Adlan, I would just say that, you know, these guys that we're sharing the room with, they're sharks, you know. They attack when they sense blood in the water, so you can't show weakness. A good idea for anyone who's doing a role is that if you feel nervous, just to try and calm down. I know it's a terrible advice, but just sort of remember that you're doing a role, just focus on that. I always find that if I focus on the step-by-step and what I'm going to do, I'll forget my nervousness, because all I'm focused on is trying to get the task done. So that's something I think about. Don't think about the speech, think about how I'm supposed to do this. But overall, on the topic of Adlan, I would say that during his speech, I think we all also have to agree that things got a tiny bit, not tiny bit, very out of hand. I think when it comes to a project like this, and it's not the first time it happened as well, it becomes very, very important, I think, for the hosts, for the evaluators, and for anyone who's involved in the interruptions to have an understanding that this is for the development of the speaker. That, you know, if I'm interrupting in this way and the person has already addressed me and my interruption, then it's safe to say that I'm supposed to stop. Unfortunately, this didn't happen for a lot of role players, and I think most people got carried away. I think we have to remember that first and foremost that, you know, Toastmasters is supposed to be a supportive and positive environment, and that, you know, bullying is not supposed to be part of it. That in part contributed to a lot of the guilt I saw in a lot of the role players' faces tonight, and I think we all have to just remember that it doesn't feel good when people interrupt us, and even though it's for the good of the speaker, that this is also a project, it's supposed to be a simulation, and it's just important not to get carried away. If in the end it doesn't help Adlan, then, you know, then we're no longer doing it for Adlan, we're doing it for ourselves, and that's not what our role is supposed to be as an interrupter. So that's something to remember. So a tip, I think, for future excos, hosts, evaluators, MCs, for someone who's doing this project, is to just sort of be mindful that this is a project. This is a simulation. We're not there to bully Adlan. We're there to help him. And then everyone can have a good time, you know. Role players, audience members, and Adlan notwithstanding. I'm just so happy there are no guests in the audience today, because like for sure they don't come back, you know, for sure. So that's all I have to say as the GE for tonight. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I will now pass the floor back to our host, our Toastmaster of the evening, the one, the only, the lonely, Magad Arif.
Thank you so much, Miss Ping Ling, for that great evaluation. And of course, with all the advice that you gave, all the pointers that you gave to us, we will take them into account. We will practice that in our future meetings. Thank you so much again for that lovely evaluation session. Ladies and gentlemen, before I pass the floor to the president to take control, I would like to extend my appreciation to all of the role players who take part, who participate in tonight's meeting, in making tonight's meeting a great one, a memorable one. Now, last but not least, some question ask BSC why did we pass the president closing remarks to Akila. So let me just put into context. As Brunei Speakers Club is heading towards end of our term, and because we have lessened our meeting from 4 to 2, so it is already by time that each and every one of our exco to take part in closing the meeting to commemorate our exco role, so that we can pass the role to our next upcoming future exco members. And without further ado, tonight let me pass the floor to Brunei Speakers Clubs. Always welcoming, always laughing, always gentleman, charismatic, SAA Adlan Murshid to close tonight's meeting. You're on mute, Adlan.
Thank you so much, Magad. Could I have the slides up for the last bit? Thank you. Right. For the announcement of the next TME, I'll pass it back to our Vice President of Education. Do we already have the next TME?
Okay, next TME, it's still to be confirmed, but we'll get back to everyone as soon as possible. It is by end of the week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Magad. Now, that also means that the role is open for grabs. Now, if you are interested in trying your luck as the TME, do contact Magad for that. Next, before I go on to the rest of the meeting, I just wanted to say that there's no hard feelings. All right, I did enjoy the banter. It feels like home. It feels like work as well. Yeah, it is something that I am fully aware when I entered the meeting. That's why I was very, very nervous. Now, with that, do we have any guests at the moment? No, we do not. So I will open the floor to any members' feedback. Is there any members that would like to say a few things? None? If that's the case, then I would like to invite Shang, because you're new and then you are probably shocked with the project. It's not the usual project that we have, but yeah, I would like to invite you to the floor to have a few thoughts from you.
So for this evening, I think everything is pretty good. I mean, I like all the speakers, the table topics, all the speeches. Other than that, as no any comments, I mean, for improvement. But I enjoyed again very much, even with your speeches. That's very special, and I do think there is like something I can learn from it. Say example, and what I can be prepared to take up this kind of project. Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shang. And once again, congratulations for your icebreaker speech. That was a very well done speech. Next, I would like to invite someone with more seniority in the club, and not just the club, but also with the project. May I please invite Ted G to give a few comments on the overall meeting?
Hey, sorry, I need to keep my camera off because my son is sleeping. So anyway, Alan, very well done. I remembered having done this project not too long ago, maybe half a year, 1 year ago. Same experience, a lot of hecklers, but I think you handled it really, really well. It's really a fun project, and I'm glad I'm here today to make life difficult for you as well. It's a good, sweet retribution. So well done overall. Having said that, I do want to just quickly say that it's been a really fun journey to be with BSC for the last, I think, 2 years plus. And as I come to the end of my membership this particular term, I won't be renewing because I'll be focusing my mental energy on other areas of my life and work for the moment. I'm taking a break. Hopefully it's just 1 year and I'll be back. But till then, I think I will miss all of you, and I want to wish everyone all the very best going forward. And Shengyi, welcome. I think you are joining a family who is very supportive. We are not usually like this. I mean, whatever you've seen just now during Alan's speech, this is not us usually. We are all very supportive. We are all here to help each other grow. And I think you are amongst a group of people who are very, very welcoming, very supportive, and just definitely reach out to anyone here. And a lot of people here are more than happy to help you in any things that you have in terms of taking your project, your work, your speech, any of these things to the next career, to the next step higher. So do reach out to these people. There are a lot of very, very well-versed members in here. And with that, I would like to say thank you everyone for making my journey this couple of years a very memorable one. And I'm sure I'll miss all of you. And I hope to come back in maybe 1 or 2 years' time to rejoin and continue my educational journey once more. But till then, all the best, everyone. See you around. Back to you, Alan.
Thank you so much, Ted. We will definitely miss you. I remember one of the many reasons that I do join BSC is because of Ted. And we will make sure with the new members and the current members, we will hold the fort until your triumphant return. So thank you so much, Ted. And with that, I'll move on to the next agenda, which is any other business. Do we have any other business from the EXCOs or the
I
other
do.
clubs? Yeah.
Okay, so you just recently had your evaluation and international speech contest not so long ago, and now your representative is going to represent you in the area contest this coming Saturday. Unfortunately, it's only the evaluation contest, but please do support them. We have Megat Arif and Lawrence Pao representing Brunei Speakers Club alongside other members from the area. So it's 26 this Saturday evening, only 1 hour. So it's only a short contest. So please do come and support. And also, I'm still looking for role players for the contest. So if you're free and if you really want to witness the contest, why not spend some time helping out as well? Back to you, Adlan.
Thank you so much, Hilman. Yes, please do come and support for this Saturday. All right. I'm sure our evaluators, our participants would greatly appreciate it. Now, next on the agenda is the announcement of the best evaluator. Oh, sorry. I saw Shanor raise his hand. Yes, Shanor.
Hello, good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Now I just remember, maybe our next meeting on the 2nd week of April, it will be our annual general meeting. So that is when we will be electing the next term's EXCO. So for those members here, and we will also be announcing in the group chat, please do prepare yourself who are interested to become the part of next term's EXCO member. So you might need to prepare your pitch and to get voted by your fellow members. That's all from me. Back to you, Adlan.
Thank you so much, Shanor. Yes, that is something to look forward to. All right, do take up the challenge for taking up the EXCO role. If you need more questions about particular roles, you could ask the role players at the EXCOs of this term for more clarification on what you need to do or what you're expected to do. Now, with that, any other business? Otherwise, I'll be closing it in 3, 2, 1. All right, I'll be moving on to the next agenda, which is the announcement of the best evaluator. So everyone, quick drum rolls. And the winner is Lawrence Pao. So congratulations to Lawrence. As usual, you're taking home a lot of the best evaluator title. All right. Do pass on that knowledge to some of us. We would greatly appreciate it. With that, do we have the slides for Lawrence? No? We do have the slide. I'm not sure what this means, Magad. Is that like,
Carry on.
yes, there,
Carry on. Carry on.
carry on. Okay. So sorry, Lawrence, your certs will be given to you outside the meeting. All right. Now, for the closing remark. All right. I'm going to try something new, so bear with me. I'm supposed to rhyme according to history, so I'll be on rhythm giving poetry. After all, presentation mastery, level 3. Hi, if you don't know me yet, let me introduce you to me. My name is Adlan. I'm the SAA of the BSC. Story of me, I'm currently 30. I've been hunting knowledge from the greats specifically. Sometime in June and about last year, I promised to make my voice music to everyone's ear. As the Sergeant at Arms, I'm not going to be idle. I'll be an idol, worth of the position and title. The ex-coast term is coming to an end, so each have to give a goodbye talk, speech. It is a mouthful, but I am grateful for the opportunity to regularly open the meeting. Who? Did I enjoy my time? Yes. What about my feelings? Bless. For the next SAA, I wish you success. BSC is a place to learn. How much effort you put in is how much you earn. But it is time to end my turn. With that, I call the meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And the recording, stop.